Johnny, get into it before another Super Chat contribution comes up.
So the other day, 2 days ago, there was, the little Dance for Black Lives. Here's some footage I got, it was a nice thing. There was a lot of bubbles. People wearing masks. There's Jasmine Richards Abdullah. They did this out front of Garcetti's house. It's right down the street over there to the right. And it was interesting. I got a lot of people out there. It was like 200 people out there.
Who is that over there on the right?
That's
Gloria Jones over there dancing. And I'm not playing the music because, we get copyright.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what it looked like. There's bubbles everywhere. And, they had their 10 demands, fam. You posted that on our Instagram. If you're not following our Instagram.
I shared this one, too. I shared it on Twitter.
A lot of stuff is on Instagram as well as Twitter. So let's just listen to their 10 demands real quick.
This is awesome, by the way.
Here are our demands.
Hey, fam.
Hey, fam.
Rox already mentioned our first demand, which is to end qualified immunity. Right now, it is almost impossible to sue a cop if they brutalize someone or kill them, and that needs to change. Our second demand is to pay all civil settlements from law enforcement pensions. Because as of now, we're paying double. We pay for their pensions, and then we pay for these settlements. I have a feeling that they would think twice about killing a black man if that money for that settlement was coming out of their pocket. Fuck that is right. Our third demand is nonviolent response to nonviolent 911 calls. So right now, we have police that are going to mental health calls and they have no clue what they're doing. They don't have the training for it. And people are dying and getting injured and getting arrested because of it. We have people with training to deal with these things, so they should be dealing with them. Our fourth demand is an independent agency to investigate police brutality. I mean, right now, Internal Affairs deals with all investigations, and they're cops. Those are their brothers. They have the thin blue line, and there's no way that they are taking this as seriously as they should. Whereas if we had an independent agency that is not made up of current or former cops investigating this shit, we'd actually get fair outcomes. Our fifth demand is independent prosecutors. Again, right now, the same DAs that are prosecuting cops have to work with them on other cases. There's no way that they can be objective when they're trying to prosecute them because they know that they need them later on. 6, minimum education requirements. So, I bet most of you don't know this. To be a sheriff, you don't even need a college degree. You just basically need to be 20 years old and have a GED. And yet we're expecting them to deal with complex problems that they're just not ready to deal with. So not only do they need to have a minimum degree, but we want to make sure that it's in one of the following subjects: criminal justice, sociology, psychology, or political science, so that they actually know how to deal with people and have some understanding of human nature. Number 7, expand training for law enforcement. Right now, as we very well know, they have no idea how to deal with anyone with mental health issues. They don't really have any good de-escalation training, and they need it. Nope. Number 8, our final demand is enforce LAPD, LASD, and LAFD wearing masks at all times. Because as we know, COVID spreads when you're not wearing a mask. And I see a whole lot of cops and sheriffs out there not wearing a fucking mask. And I don't know about you, but the last thing I want is to get fucking COVID from a sheriff or a cop when they're trying to fucking arrest me.
Johnny, could you put up the list real quick? Do you have something
your
that has
guys'
a list?
thoughts on that? On those demands.
I mean, I agree with pretty much everything. I mean, I think the mask thing is right now, obviously, and I think people feel safe. I think it's hypocritical because I've seen a lot of the cops not wear it, and then they can literally go after you for not wearing your mask. So it's more of like a, like a standard of equality there with that.
When you put this up, John, I sent this to my friend because I had a friend of mine in Florida, really, pretty nuanced guy on the right, Republican guy. And he would say, well, what do these protesters want? And I was like, look what they want. Look at this here now. But it's very interesting, and I love this list. There's a few things I don't like on the list, or we have to figure it out. But I asked my sister, and I'm curious to you guys, if you had to pick 2 things on that list of 8, which 2 would you pick? In other words, if there was some type of compromisation where, lawmakers said, well, you get to pick 2 of these, which 2 would you pick, John? And which 2 would you pick, Fee? I hit my sister with this question, and she was like really looking at this and thinking about this. Now, you know me, guys, right? Number 1, of course, I'm going to go number 3 is my most important thing. I've said this before on the show. Establish an independent agency to preside over investigation of police misconduct and all law enforcement-based agencies. Like, because the fact that you can investigate yourself, it's like, hold on a second, I'm going to go over here and see what I did wrong. Okay, fam, we're okay. I told myself, bad boy, and that's it. I mean, that's the mentality when you have internal affairs, your police officers investigating police officers. That's no bueno. My number 2 would be number 2. Because I believe, and I believe that we should have like some form of like doctors, I'm saying psychiatrists that are armed themselves as well. But they'll be less likely to use it if they can vocalize and talk their way out of those situations. So I'm just kind of curious to you guys, because I do have a problem with number 6. I understand where they're coming from. We need more certain training, and what he said sounded great. But I don't know about strapping people with a big college bill if they want to be.
But that's why college would be free. Should be free.
And that's a different problem we have to fix.
Well, then the police there should be funding to make it free so they get the education. Because
so it's
I
not
agree
funding
with
the police; it's actually more funding, but more training.
But it's not. It's defunding the police, meaning like defunding the militarization of the police and the shit, and putting it back into the communities by investing in education.
Yes.
Right? You are making it harder for these people to not know how to deal with it. And I think I disagree with you. I think number 6 is important because it takes so much longer to do anything else and to become a police officer. And if you have that much power on you, you need to be ready and you need to know what you're dealing with. And so that's why I think it's important. However, in this society, we're still trying to make a business out of going to college, and it should be, this is why college for all is necessary.
Exactly.
And I agree with the independent outside investigation.
Absolutely.
And I also think that that workers, that people who are social workers should be called in cases of mental illness, and psychologists, not the police. They're not trained for that. So meanwhile, while they're getting retrained and whatever, like, you do not call them, because unfortunately too many people have died for calling the police for mental
Johnny,
health.
which 2 are the most important to you? Did you even think about it, or?
Yeah, well, they're all important to me.
Yeah.
If you had to pick only 2.
I wouldn't compromise like that.
No, if you had to compromise.
I wouldn't compromise.
Yeah.
I'd be out in the streets every day, not compromising.
I hear you. I got you. Good answer.
I mean, a lot of them
If
are
that's the way you
important.
feel.
I feel like they're all important.
Yeah, they are.
They're all really important.
They are, but that's what politics is. You're only going to get certain things.
They're missing some here.
They are.
Yeah.
They can even expand this list, and I do.
Honestly, just redo the whole police department. Like, dismantle this, fire the current officers right now. See if they have gang tattoos. If they have gang tattoos,
and then do a rehiring process.
Definitely don't hire them and make everyone aware of.
Because there's nothing here on the screening process when we talk about like as far as what they do. Like when you talk about those officers who come from those that have those tattoos, whatnot, and the reasons why they join the police department stuff is that they a legal gun to kill somebody, right? You get a license to murder. We have to be able to screen these people out. We have to be able to make sure, just like the way the Catholic Church needs to screen their priests to make sure that pedophiles don't get in. Mm-hmm. We need more screening. So yeah, that list needs to be expanded. I think that's great. That's like one of the best things I've seen in a long time. We were talking about that over the weekend with my family. We were kind of showing that stuff. I love those just concrete, solid suggestions on how we really, really change our policing in the States, because it needs to be changed because it's out of hand.
Yeah, so the next thing, speaking of police, so LA won yesterday. I don't know if you saw. I was kind of salty. I wanted Miami to win.
I knew LA was going to win.
Yeah. LeBron's amazing, He's really good. You got to give him his props here.
But Jimmy Buckets was really good, too.
So, people were out freaking out right there in Staples Center. Just thousands of people celebrating, fireworks going off. You heard all of them, right, fam?
Yeah.
You were wondering what happened, and I'm like, oh. Nah.
Well, I was seeing the stuff
I
on Twitter.
I forgot about the game, and I'm like, oh.
Wait, this wasn't a Joe Biden rally? They weren't getting excited for that?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, so a bunch of people came out to celebrate whatever on the streets. You know how they do, like if a Super Bowl. You know how they did in Philadelphia. So the cops actually started showing them what's up. So here they start shooting.
What is the point? I guess because it's COVID.
Law and order.
What are they doing this for? Why?
People, shouldn't they just allow people to be happy for one fucking day?
There's a dude with a
That was a big mortar.
There's such a waste of resources.
So police are shooting. I just want to show this family kind of like walking by. Look how scared like the kids are. There are kids out there and they're shooting stuff like that, you know? Just a little fun. I just want to show you how scared everyone was and the whole police force, you know, just showing.
The horses are out.
Just showing this reality to y'all. They're pretty much in riot gear. Helmets and everything.
But it was a party. I guess people were dancing a lot and getting kind of crazy.
So, I'm just kind of got a young woman got hit. Looks like she was crying from pain, and one of the officers responds that she shouldn't be here when people are asking for help. Police aren't here to help us, and they have prioritized this young. If they were, they would have prioritized this young woman's injury.
Yeah, can you show this? I remember her crying.
Look at this. This is.
She's hurt. What do you mean put her down? She's fucking hurt. You don't hear her crying? You don't hear her crying, bro? She's fucking hurt. She's hurt, bro. She's hurt. Relax. Just put her down. Relax. What is that gonna make a difference, bro? It's not gonna make a difference, bro. Can you get Medicare, please? Can you please do me a favor and get Medicare, please? Sir. Let me get over there. Sir. Get on that side. Go. Can you get Medicare, please?
So yeah, the initial response is you shouldn't be there.
That's what they want to be.
They sound like fucking military.
But that's the whole point.
Disgusting.
This is why there's no separation.
Here, Samuel Braslow, who's I'm not sure who he's a journalist for. Newspaper.
Holy shit.
Less lethal round hit his phone out of his hands. It looks like it didn't really hit him, but his phone's fine, I guess. But just showing you like, all that.
He had an OtterBox.
He's just like filming, so why would you aim at that guy?
It's just really interesting because this isn't a protest. It was like Lakers won.
Oh, this one's disgusting. You guys gotta look at this one.
No, I didn't see this
Cop
one.
knocks a young man over and doesn't even bother to check in on his limp body on the ground. Jordan here, Myersella, says that she doesn't feel safe having police force devoid of basic empathy. So look at this. To protect and serve.
Who are they protecting? And what is the point of that? It was a Lakers game. Like,
Right.
I mean, I understand telling people, I don't know. I don't think it requires tear gas and rubber bullets and all of this.
There's different ways. They got to try different ways. There's different ways. If you want to crowd control.
Yeah,
different
but
ways.
and then the thing is, people are also reacting like this. Also, it's psychological. You can't ignore. Like, finally, they're happy that the Lakers won, and they're like, "Oh, we're going back to normalcy. It's cool. The Lakers won." You can't even give them that one moment. You can't even give them that.
This is their normalcy. The
This
police
is like,
state.
You know,
The
and
police
I hope people see who went, who haven't participated in the
Exactly.
protests, see this and see that this isn't just crazy looters and all this shit provoking the police. This is what the police have been doing for the last 6 months, guys. Like, I hope you see that now, that even when you're at a Lakers, celebrating a Lakers win, and you should be proud of your city. I mean, I've been to parades and stuff when there's a Super Bowl and all this crap. It's normal to have, like, people being excited. I know it's COVID, but at the same time, like, you know, maybe be like, hey guys, I know we're all having fun, but you know, just be careful and blah blah blah. Like, you don't have to show up there like G.I. Joe and do this shit.
You expect brutalization if you're out there. Here's some just aerial footage I saw. It was kind of interesting. Look at this one. This one's crazy. Like,
it's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people.
That's
but
probably
look,
what they
look
didn't
this,
like.
Look at what numbers do with police here. And now, I mean, I wish these people would come out for, you know, civil rights.
Right.
Instead of like a game.
We talk about that. Everybody knows who's on their team, where they went to college, what position they played, what high school, but they don't know who their local rep is.
Yeah.
It's
but even that, Jonathan, but you're right, absolutely. But them coming out, I hope a lot of these people saw how they were treating people. The police were treating people. And I hope that changes your perspective a little bit.
I'm waiting to see when they have this whole tsunami of evictions and what happens. And really, because then you're going to see some really angry, lost, just at the end of the rope people. I mean, what are they going to have now when you don't even have a residency?
Nothing scarier than somebody that has nothing to lose.
Exactly. And you're going to have a lot of people with nothing to lose because it's been taken away during this crisis when our government is supposed to look out for us. Our California super democratic government, right? They're not going to do anything. So it's going to be crazy out over here as well, fam. So I'm waiting because I really want to see that out in the street, 30,000 people when the evictions happen. Yep. And we'll see what's what then.
At one point, I wanted to get this, that the cops start reversing from the crowd.
Well, they can't. That's the thing, and that's what I keep telling people. If you guys want to make change, you need a lot of people out there for whatever issues, and they can't really mess with you that much. I mean, they could drone everybody, but... Well.
That's
United
why
States wouldn't do that.
They could join you, but that's
still like if they did that, then what is this government? The United States would destroy any semblance of anything that it ever was.
Well, that's the thing. If there's an eviction crisis and you're talking across the board, everybody in this country, if 30% of the people get evicted from their houses, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Oh, forget about it then. You're going to have a lot of people in the streets with a common goal, pissed off that they don't have proper housing. And it's a shame that it had to happen to them before they realized that we have such a housing problem here. Because people like us have been screaming like housing is an issue. Housing is an issue. But maybe this is what's needed to get people to realize that when housing is taken away from you, and then you're going to realize what's going on.
And the police
and the way the police treat you.
The LA sheriff are in charge of evicting people.
And the last thing I just want to show is that, you know, I haven't seen any news about this looting that the LA Lakers fans have done. They've done looting on Starbucks. And, you know, how come people aren't saying, you know, there's stupid people that are always going to take advantage of a situation.
Yeah, there's stupid people that are always going to do something.
So in any protest, any riot, people are going to take advantage of that situation. But I haven't seen shit about this on mainstream media.
Yeah.
So.
Because it's the LA Lakers. It's not a BLM protest.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. And like okay, that looting, yeah. But again, are we going to punish and say that every person that was out there was like, no, it was obviously just a few people.
It's not a monolith,
because
right?
it's not, well, it's not a monolith. And those are all kinds of people from all walks of life going into thousands of people. Out of all those people, some of them are gonna do something wrong.
There's a lot of homeless people over there
too,
as well. It's like all these areas. There's a ton of homeless people. Literally, the one CVS we saw during the one rally, and they're like, "Look at this, what's going on?" It's like there's a homeless encampment right next door.
Yeah.
A bunch of people in tents were running out of their tents, running in, grabbing supplies, and then running back out. They were desperate. And that's what's gonna happen if somebody said, "Oh my God, there's an opportunity to grab something: water, milk." Coffee, whatever the case may be, they're going to go grab it because they're poor, they're on the streets, and they're going to take advantage of this situation. Before the Bolivian thing, John Ward Jr. says, hey, I'm still waiting on election integrity. Well, call me, John. I left a message with your secretary. I'll call you again, and we can talk.
Okay.
Bolivia, right?
Yes. So this Bolivian, the coup figurehead, honored the CIA-backed soldiers responsible for Che Guevara's murder. And we have a little video I wanted to play by Camila from Telesur.
You got two of them, right? You got the first one and the second one?
Yeah.
49 miembros de nuestras Fuerzas Armadas.
So I'll just...
47 ciudadanos nuestros cayeron víctimas del terrorismo guerrillero.
So she's talking about the victims of the Che Guevara's government and 47 heroes. She says they were the CIA-backed, though, coup. This
mujer,
happened 53 years ago.
como madre.
And this is Janine Añez, and who is now, the
fascist,
the fake leader of
Yeah.
Bolivia. And she has vowed also, later on, she talks about, she's vowing to make sure that Evo Morales and his government, his party faction are kept entirely out of that. And like I said, Venezuela is the last bastion of socialism that there is in Latin America, because we removed Evo Morales in Bolivia via coup, and they're the last one in South America. Now we have Cuba, that is an island, obviously, and they have communism, but it's a form of communism that isn't really flourishing because of the U.S. actions on it. And every single time you can find the U.S. connections there, to coups, to sanctions, to embargoes, to every single nation that is of socialist or communist ideology that threatens the capitalist Western imperialist empire. And that's just a fact. You can vilify these leaders and say, well, Che Guevara, well, Fidel Castro, and all these things, but that doesn't change the fact that they had to do things to protect themselves from the boot of the U.S. empire. And that's something that never gets discussed as these people are vilified.
Honoring Che Guevara's death. That's just rubbing it in your face, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's Columbus Day, fam.
Well, I like this one because my Sicilian side of my family hates Christopher Columbus. They always talk bad of him, and there was one side of the family that talked well about him. But, this one from Melina Abdullah says Christopher Columbus was a thief, a rapist, a sex trafficker, a pedophile, a colonizer, a murderer, and a crazed genocidal maniac. And not to mention an idiot. Fuck Columbus and the ship he rode in on. It's funny because this is an Italian group I was a part of, right? And there was a lot of us in that room that did not like Christopher Columbus, and a lot of other people who did like Christopher Columbus. And they were always fighting because they signified Columbus Day as their Italian day. It's like their one day. Like, if we don't have this, we don't have anything. There was actually an episode in The Sopranos where it was a big thing where it's like they were fighting for Columbus Day, and we see other people fighting for Columbus Day. And I was always trying to say, well, listen, we gotta shed this asshole. He doesn't represent us. He doesn't represent our culture. And I was trying to get them to say, hey, one of the guys who invented the telephone, his name was Antonio Meucci, an Italian guy. They stole it from him and gave it to Bell. Why don't we fight to make him our symbol of beacon? He was an inventor. He became an American citizen. He didn't speak very well English, but I was always trying to find some form of way to replace him. But I can tell you this much: there's not a lot of Italian American community nowadays in America, but the Italian American community that's left are still fighting. They protect his statue in Philadelphia. So, and they don't look at it as Christopher Columbus. They look at it as themselves, like, this is our Italian holiday. If you would take this away from us, what do we have? That kind of mentality.
And fam, Christopher Columbus was working for the Spanish Queen, Isabella, which is really funny. Like, he was working for a woman. Doing all this. I'm just saying.
Anyways, so we got it's Columbus Day, but people are calling it Indigenous Peoples Day.
That's what it should be. Yes.
Teddy Roosevelt, Abe Lincoln statues, and this was yesterday, were taken down in Portland. In a day of indigenous rage protest on the eve of Columbus Day. So there's that footage there. Yeah.
What they tried to do in LA across from what they tried to do in LA across from the Metro was give like an Italian museum. And that was because there was no Little Italy, and a bunch of Italians that moved out here to LA back in the days when the Brooklyn Dodgers moved out here, part of the culture, part of the community. They never got their Little Italy. LA was like one of the only towns that not have a Little Italy.
Has one.
So they complained, and actually San Pedro is a Little Italy. It's got a lot of old school Italians over there. I wish they get some vegan pizza for me. But they gave them this Italian museum of sorts. You know what I'm saying? I would think it'd be a great push for the Italian community, if there's anything left that are still fighting to keep this Christopher Columbus kind of thing going, that they switch gears and go to something and point out an Italian that was much more, uplifting and understanding and loving and did many things. Not a slave trader, a piece of crap working for a monarch, an aristocrat, an elitist and whatnot. He was like Donald Trump. He went bankrupt several times. They had to go to Isabel to say, fund my expedition.
Right, and in 1492, everybody learns about Christopher Columbus in kindergarten. And when I was taught Christopher Columbus, I was taught him in a very positive light. And then you realize that they're like, oh, he came in the Niña, La Pinta, and the
Santa Maria,
and he just came in there and he was fine and he was friends with them, and then somehow they just disappeared, and he
Empire
they paint
education.
this in like this
Education,
positive way.
glorifying imperialism.
I like what
And
Mark
you're
Charles
like,
says.
yeah.
Christopher Columbus was lost.
And they do,
That motherfucker was
he
lost.
was fucking lost. And they do
He didn't
like
know where he was
plays.
going.
They do plays of him where he's like saving the Native American people. I mean, this is how far the indoctrination goes, Johnny.
Yeah, and I'm just showing, just some
Bolivia?
photos that Redfish stream. If you're not following them on Instagram, you guys need to follow them. They post a lot of great stuff that I wish we could post. We need a bigger team, though.
Yeah, they're out in Bolivia right there. That's some indigenous people. Like I said, I really, to tell you the truth, I'm more of a peaceful person, and, you know what I'm saying? But I have a certain line and a limit, and I really wish the indigenous people of Bolivia would wake up in the middle of the night and throw that government out of there.
That's what Cornel West was saying.
Just wake up in the middle of the night. You outnumber them 5-1. Just start marching and whatnot. But it's Evo Morales who's saying, no, please be peaceful. He doesn't want to see his people die.
That's his Bernie side.
That's I'm like that
2
too.
weeks
but-
ago, the United Nations General Assembly met, and they've posted that we remember the speech of the first indigenous president of Bolivia, Evo Morales, who was couped.
Único hogar y es irreemplazable. Constatamos con tristeza que continúan las grandes asimetrías sociales. Según datos de Oxfam, en la actualidad 1.300 millones de personas viven en la pobreza, mientras el 1% de los más ricos se quedó con el 82% de la riqueza mundial en 2017. La desigualdad,
Right, and he's talking
El
about this
hambre, la-
international inequality.
pobreza,
And
la
it's not
crisis
just the United States. This is what we need to realize, and this is what the Black Panther movement also talked about a long time ago, where it's an international anti-imperialist movement that needs to be taken over, where you realize that you're all the working people of the world are against the elite, because the 1% are the one that are stripping the planet of resources, that are stripping everybody of anything, and they are hoarding the wealth at the top. And when somebody points this out at this large level and then tries to do it at the micro level, they're going to be a very dangerous target for the CIA and the Western Empire. And it's interesting, Johnny, I don't know if you can comment on this, but you see socialist democracies in Europe, right? You see them in the Netherlands and Denmark, but you don't see that in South America, because they don't want that to happen, because socialist democracies are still sort of participating in capitalism, whereas in South America they were actually attempting to not do that. And also, of course, you have the indigenous people too that are being attacked in Venezuela and in Bolivia.
Just really quick, just want to remind people that during Evo Morales' tenure, he reduced the poverty rate by 42%. He reduced extreme poverty by 60%. Income per person has increased by more than double of the Latin American average when Evo Morales took over. The literacy rate, Johnny, education dropped from 13% to 2.4%.
Illiteracy, right?
The literacy rate. In other words, he taught people how to read.
Yeah.
Unemployment went from 9.2 to 4.1, and it's still one of the fastest growing countries as pertaining to the GDP. Evo Morales was the first indigenous leader of Bolivia. And let's not forget, fam, we'll coup who we want to coup. That was what he was talking about. They were talking about the lithium there. That's what that was all about.
So,
we stole that lithium.
Elon Musk said.
Yeah, Elon Musk.
He
Jesse
was
L.
joking, supposedly,
Yeah. Jesse L. said a
right.
lot of Italians are brown. Are they also people of color?
Okay, a lot of Italians are brown, but Pasta's definitely not a person of color.
Wait.
Pasta's definitely, he looks like he's from fucking like Germany or something. Come on, let's be real here.
My Polish side comes out a lot, fam.
Whatever.
Johnny, anything else?
Yeah, so the other day Redfish posted this, and it's like it's just depictions of historical victories over colonizers. And again, it was the empire education that I wanted to talk about, how they glorify Christopher Columbus, imperialists like Christopher Columbus, and never talk about this. I never knew about these historical victories of colonizers. So this first one is when Native Hawaiians killed British invader Captain James Cook, 1779. Number 2, hanging a French colonial soldier during the Haitian Revolution of 1791. Painting 3, Ambron revolts of 1817, led by Capitan Patimura against the Dutch colonizers in what was then known as the Dutch East Indies. Painting 4, the Philippine warriors of Lapu-Lapu kill Portuguese colonizers Magellan and his Spanish forces at the Battle of Mactan. I never knew that Magellan was killed by Philippine warriors.
Yeah.
Zulus killing the British lieutenants Melville and Coghill at the Battle of Islandwa.
We got to watch that movie.
Painting 6, the Khoi warriors of Cape of Good Hope defeating and killing Portuguese colonizer Viceroy Francisco de Almeida. I remember this guy. One of the most feared colonial commanders at the Battle of Gorenhaikwa in 1510. Painting 7, portrayal of British General Gordon's death by the Sudanese at the Battle of Khartoum in 1885. Number 8, death of Prussian colonizer Major Gustavus von Temsky by Maori. I can't say these words. By the Manu in 1868. Painting 9, Ethiopians defeating Italian forces at the Battle of Adwa, led by Ethiopian Emperor Menelik II. And so
yeah. You know what all those people were there for? Colonizers? Resource extraction.
Yeah.
They were going to take the land, to take the resources. Bottom line. And today it's the same thing. Going to take the land, to take the different resources that they were back then. They were more basic resources. Today we have situations like Bolivia, which was all about the lithium, fam. Right? They didn't want the Chinese who outbid the Americans, and Evo Morales was going to take that money to enwealth his people, to enrich his people, to give them resources, and America said no. I really would like to know Donald Trump's role, if he had any of that in that role in that coup. You know what I'm saying? Because Bernie Sanders came out and said it was a coup right away. A couple people said it was a coup. When we eventually got the answer from Tulsi Gabbard, she says it is a coup and Americans should not be involved. We were looking down the lines. We were seeing that it was Cruz, right?
Yeah.
It was a Rubio.
Yeah.
Rubio. There were some backdoor conversations and channels. I wonder.
I don't put.
What Donald Trump knew.
I absolutely he
it
knew.
happened during his watch.
Absolutely he knew. There's no way. There's no defense of him. He knew.
So when they say that he hasn't started any new wars, I say no, Bolivia. You know what I'm saying? And not to mention he continued the same failed policies in Latin America, in Venezuela, in Cuba, as Barack Obama did, as
and in
George
the Middle
Bush.
East he's expanding as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's areas in the Middle East where he picked out a few areas which people are trying to hone into, but there's other areas he did not. So I mean, he's not the peace candidate. Don't get confused. Don't get it twisted. If you want to say he's better than Joe Biden, I'm not going to argue that because Joe Biden stood up the Senate for the Iraq war. But he is not the peace candidate. He's not what we need. He's still a pro-imperialist president. Bottom line. That's why I'll never vote for him. You know what he's doing in Venezuela alone, and what happened in Bolivia. That's a big no-no. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. So then, so there's a song that I've heard from my family.
All right.
And I don't know. It's Indigenous Peoples Day, so I was like, let's play this song.
Are we gonna get copyrighted?
I don't think so. No. It's a Peruvian indigenous song. So let's hear. And I translated the lyrics so you guys can read it.
Gotcha.
Yo lo soy
Those are lyrics.
y no me compadezcas, que esas son monedas que no valen nada y quedan los blancos como quien da plata. Nosotros los cholos no pedimos nada, pues faltando todo, todo nos alcanza. Déjame en la puna vivir a mis anchas, trepar por los cerros detrás de mis cámaras, arando la tierra, tejiendo unos ponchos, pastando mis llamas, y echar a los vientos la voz de mi queda. Dices que soy triste, ¿qué quieres que haga? No dicen ustedes que el cholo es sin alma y que es como piedra sin voz, sin palabras, y llora por dentro sin mostrar las lágrimas. ¿Acaso no fueron los blancos venidos de España que nos dieron muerte por oro y por plata. No hubo un tal Pizarro que mató a Atahualpa tras muchas promesas bonitas y falsas.
Sounds like the Democratic Party.
Yeah, we're not gonna play the whole thing. I just wanted to play a segment of that. But basically, you know, it's a whole. He talks about how Pizarro from Spain came over and killed Atalupe.
Pizarro was a conquistador that went into South America. There was the other one that went into Mexico, and the story was that they were welcomed them with open arms, and then when they saw how much gold the Incan Empire had, they killed them and imprisoned their leader, who they named Atahualpa, and they imprisoned the leader and they took all the gold, and that's how the empire was destroyed. And then of course there was the intermingling, you know, of the Spanish with the people, and then there was the revolt of the people in general in South America, because the viceroy, the capital of the Spanish empire, was in Peru, wasn't it? It was either in Cusco or Lima. I can't remember which it was, but
it was Cusco.
That's where the capital was, and so that's where they were able to expand from there, and then bring in all the colonizers. And it's interesting because in in South America, the culture is made up of everybody, like the vast majority of people, depending on the country, but a lot of people are of mixed origin. You know, they're not just native origin, they're white, indigenous, and sometimes often black, because blacks were also brought into via slave trade. So there's a little bit of a difference in cultural representation there, where in America it was mostly kept separate, in North America. So that's why I think there's the race things are still there, but it's a little bit different than what here was, because it was like the Native Americans here were exterminated and they didn't intermingle with the population as happened in South America.
Slow Days News put this up here. We're coming up almost on 2 hours of the show. I know you guys are going to be pissed off at me because I went to that Clear thing today. The line was so big. And the guy's like, from Clear, like, hey, check it out. What not?
Yep.
I didn't realize it. So he goes, look, just take a look at this. And I look, and it takes a print of my eyes. I'm like, you son of a bitch. You didn't tell me we're going to do this thing. Like, now you got me? Like, I'm like, the CIA has me already, but they are coming out with more things like this, Johnny. Did you put this up there? Or?
No, I put it up there.
So, fam, what do you have to say about this?
Kill it with fire. I agree with Steve. Like, kill it with fire. We don't want this. I don't know how we're going to be able to escape this. This is why our civil liberties are so important, right? Because if technology gets so ahead that they can find us, you know, like on Minority Report, what was it? The
Tom
movie.
Cruise? Yeah.
Like, where, you know, they find people with their eyeballs, with the irises, because every iris is unique. Then how if we don't have protections, how do you expect not to be controlled by that? This is a very dangerous territory we're entering, and I think technology is getting ahead of the political politics of it, because we don't have these protections. And then Johnny posted this tweet from Rania.
This is pretty funny, though. I mean, not funny, but it's scary. Like, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so I've seen this happen.
When Johnny's retweeting it, you got to go like, wait a sec, what is Johnny retweeting? It must be Empire Education. So, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, it's just, it happens all the time. Like, when I put, like, Hillary Clinton, or when I put Bernie Sanders, or when I put Putin, it's the same thing. Like, all the establishment narrative comes to light. So why capitalism failed, and she gets one result, and then it's all socialism, and socialism doesn't work. It's happened to me before when I've actually Googled things like that. But the one thing I wanted to point out is Johnny posted, DuckDuckGo actually points you in the direction that you were going. Why capitalism fails, when capitalism fails, blah, blah, blah. Instead of actually, you know, the other part where they're trying to vilify socialism, which is what obviously the Empire Education wants us to do. So, guys, that was a long show. Thank you so much.
Real quick, Kanye put out a fucking...
Oh, God. Do we need
to talk about What is America's
Kanye?
destiny? What is best for our nation, our people? What is just, true justice? We have to think about all these things together as a people. To contemplate our future, to live up to our dream, we must have vision. We as a people will revive our nation's commitment to faith, to what our Constitution calls the free exercise of religion, including, of course, prayer. Through prayer, faith can be restored. We as a people are called to a greater purpose than ourselves. We are not only a beacon to the world, but we should be servants to each other, to encourage each other, to help each other, to lift up each other, our fellow Americans, that we may all prosper together. We have to act on faith with the sure knowledge that we are pursuing the right goals and doing the right things. We will build a stronger country by building stronger families. Families are the building blocks of society, of a nation. By turning to faith, we will be the kind of nation, the kind of people God intends us to be.
I am Kanye West, and I approve this message.
So he's more like my Pence than anything else that I get from this ad. It was a better ad than Joe Biden had. But the religion part is really unappealing to me.
That was the first time I watched it. I was kind of interested because it got released like 3 hours
Writing
ago.
Kanye West. Like,
I just wanted to see what he had to say, and that's hilarious. So there you go.
Well, America, you're officially a joke. You live in a joke, and that's that. Sorry, guys.